Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah the Father and Yahusha our Mashiach, his Son. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah our Mighty One is one Yahuwah. This is Brother David coming to you again to bring you a special message. Happy New Year, Yasharal. The new moon was sighted the evening of March 7th, which will make your new moon's day, March 8th, which falls on a Gregorian calendar Friday. When you begin your count to the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the 8th day equals day 1, and you count from there. Now, I was unable to spot the renewed moon on the 7th, and I was out there. Somehow I missed it. You have to be very diligent to spot it, because when it comes out in the evening, you see how it looks here at dusk, it'll only show up for maybe 10, 15 minutes the most. So you have to be there to witness it, because it could go behind one of these clouds here as it's going down, and you won't be able to see it. But this year and this month has been a momentous month. I had help this time. I had 2 participants. They were with me for the whole 2 days, and we corresponded back and forward with each other. And we went through all of the stumbling blocks that were occurring before us. In some places, it was full of clouds, so they couldn't see it. And here, the sky was clear, but I guess I must have missed it by coming inside at the wrong time, and it dipped behind a cloud, and I was unable to witness it. You have to be very diligent when you're out there looking for the renewed moon, because it's only going to last for about 10, 15 minutes. Then it'll dip below the horizon, and you will not see it. So I want to give a special shout out to Dashboy 007. These are their avatar names. And Antoine. Now, Antoine is one of our sisters, the daughter of Zion. So I had one of the lions of the tribe of Judah, and I had one of the daughters of Zion who stayed there with me and helped me through this process. Now, one of the questions that I've received before, what happens if you can't spot it? Well, you have to pull out all of the tools that are in your toolkit. The Father has given us tools for you to verify if you are on the right day. Let's begin this journey to find out how to verify if you don't spot the renewed moon. First, witnesses. Can you see that slither of light that is right there in the middle of the screen, right below the cloud? That's what it'll look like when it comes out. Maybe 10 minutes it'll dip below the horizon. If you're not diligent and out there watching on a constant basis, you will not see it. The person who cited this, he cited it at the 3rd month, the 7th day in the evening of 2019. He's on YouTube, and I saw the video. He recorded it with his phone, so it shows that he's not using any astronomical equipment. It was a sighting, and he tried to put it on his phone so he can share it with others. Here's another one. Listen to what they said. Despite the cloud cover, our friend Suzanne Murphy managed to catch the young waxing crescent moon over Madison, Wisconsin in mid-North America at dusk, March 7th, 2019. Thank you, Susan. Yes, Thank you, Susan. Do you see what she saw there? That is exactly what I look for every single month. So she spotted it as soon as the sun had dipped below the horizon and was beginning to go down. Here's number 3. This person took a photo. Stephen A. Sweet. He caught the young moon from the North American East Ontario, Canada on March 7, 2019. He said he couldn't see it with the eye, but found it later while going through his photos. So he had took a photo of the sky, and bingo, there it was, up in the sky. Here's another test that you do. This is how I was able to verify whether it is March 7 or March 8th. When it comes out, the new moon, on the first day of the month, it will come out low, like on March 7. That's when you will first see it, because the sun is just dipped below the horizon. It's traveling so close to the sun that you can be out there and you can miss it within a couple of seconds. So what I had to do to verify the date was wait to March 8th in the evening to see the position of the moon. The moon was too high in the sky. It did not go fully down till about 9 o'clock after it turned dark, which means that was day 2. And it was a little fatter. You see how much fatter it is there? So that showed me that was day 2 because it was too high in the sky, and it took maybe an hour, hour and a half or so before it disappeared. So these are tools that you can use to verify your sighting. But in order to verify your sighting, the only way I know this is because I've been out there every single day for months. I had to see what it looks like when it comes out, what it looks like on the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, straight on through. I had to see it myself so that I can match what the book of Enoch was saying to what I was seeing in the sky. Now, here's the global observation. My brother, Dashboy 007, I mean, he hit me up right away. He says, "Oh, Brother David, they've already sighted it on the 7th. And I was saying, wow, I didn't see it. How did they see it? But anyway, we have 4 of them that was confirmed. At the time, the Dashboy 007 had called, I think it was about 2. But then afterwards, it multiplied to 4. You have one in India, Saudi Arabia. That's over in our land. Winter Garden, Florida. That's in my backyard. And Fairplay, Colorado. So we have 4 more sightings here to confirm that they've sighted it in the evening. See the date there? March 7th, in the evening of 2019. So you see all of the witnesses so far. Now, here's another form of confirmation. This comes from the book of Enoch. This is how you confirm it through the scripture. He tells you from the time that you spot that new moon, that 15 days later, your light is full. He tells you also that 14 days later, your light is full. Look at the date, March 21st. It's a full moon illumination 100%. Look over at March 20th, the waxing gibbous. It's also 100%. Look at March 22nd, the waning gibbous. It's at 97%. If you were to look up in the sky without this tool here, you could not tell the difference between the 3. So if you're going to sight the full moon as the new moon, which one is it going to be? But this here verifies if you have the right date. So if we start from March 8th to this day, you should have 15 days. And it's going to be at your feast day, and the moon shall become full. Let's check that out. Here's a calendar. As I told you, Friday, day 8, would be New Moon's Day. You begin your count from day 8. If you begin your count from day 8 and you want to get to the 15th day, you can do this right alongside of me. I'm going to start from Friday, and then I'll count each day. Friday is day 1, then day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 falls on the 21st. When does the feast start? On the 14th day in the evening. The 21st represents the 14th day, and in that evening is Yahuwah's Passover. Once that sun dips below the horizon and it goes down, it's no longer the 14th day. It is turned into the 15th day, which would be the 22nd. So this is how you prove your sighting, just to make sure that you got the right day. 1611, KJV Sirach, chapter 43, verse 7. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. You have to know the language of the heavens to understand this, don't you? This passage here is telling you that the moon is going to show you when the feast days come in. Then it tells you what it's going to look like after the feast day. It's going to start to decrease in her perfection. Look. First, let's look at this dark moon. Do you see that they mislabeled it to be new? Because in order to be new, it must be renewed. You must have some light. So this is not the new moon. But you see the one that says young. That would be your new moon. Why, Brother David? Because light is shined upon it. How do you know that, Brother David? Enoch told me. So if the young moon is the renewed moon, that would be day 1. Like, the day 8th, day number 8 that we have now, that's day 1. So picture this in your mind that day 8 is day number 1. After day number 1, which is a standalone day, then you begin your count towards your Sabbath. 6 working days, then the 7th day is the Sabbath. Do you see the language of the heavens? It says waxing crescent to waxing quarter. That is actually 7 days and 1 Sabbath. Then you have the waxing gibbous to the full. That is another 7 days. That's another Sabbath. You put the 2 quarters together, you have 2 Sabbaths, 14 days, and guess what happens? Your light becomes full. When does the moon or the full moon come out? In the evening, brothers and sisters. I want you to understand that. So once you have begun your count from the waxing, which means growing, and then the waning, which means decreasing, you will understand the language. What language is that? The language of Sirach. The moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in its perfection. So the sign of feast is not the new moon, that black moon. It is not the slither of light, which they mislabeled young, which is really the renewed moon, because these are all increasing in its light. So if the moon is a sign of feast, it must start on that 14th day period there. You see that? And the light is full. What happens? It begins to decrease. So the Bible is telling you what to look for. Your feast days will come out on a full moon, but you have to know the language. Enoch, chapter 78, verse 6 to 7. Let's take a look at the laws that govern the heavens. And when the moon rises, it appears in the sky and has a half of a 7th part of light, And on the 14th day, it makes all of its light full. So it's telling you when that moon appears on New Moon's Day in the evening, you won't see it until when the sun dips below the horizon. All of a sudden, it'll just appear in the sky. Not for long, 10, 15 minutes the most, and then it'll be gone. And then it tells you that you count 14 days after that new moon and your light is full. Look at verse 7. And 15 parts of light are transferred to it until on the 15th day, its light is full. According to the sign of the year, and amounts to 15 parts. And the moon comes into being by halves of a seventh part. Look what Enoch has just done. He separated two separate days, or two separate numbers for you, not days, numbers. He told you on the 14th day, the light is full. Then he tells you in verse 7 that on the 15th day, the light is full. This is the exact same day, brothers and sisters. It's not a different day. How did he come to that distinction? Well, in verse 6, he only counted the quarters. Remember what we just did? The waxing crescent to the waxing quarter, the waxing gibbous to the full, 14 days, then the light was full. In 7, he only did one thing. He used the same two quarters, but he added New Moon's Day, when first light was shined upon it. Then you get 15 days. If you want to find your Sabbaths, you use the quarters. When you want to find the feast, you add that one day, and still your light would be full. Now he says according to the sign of the year. Remember, the moon is a sign of feast. Didn't Sirach just tell us that? So that sign that you're looking up for in the sky is when you add that extra day to the two quarters so you can come to your feast day, which would be a full moon, brothers and sisters. This is the language of the heaven. Dismiss with what people are telling you who are shooting from the hip. Now look at what's in red at the end. And the moon comes into being. The moon means month. And the month comes into being. The month starts by halves of a seventh part. A slither of light, brothers and sisters, not a full moon. You will never find one passage in the whole Bible that's going to tell you that your month starts with a full moon. Look for it. So here we come back to this visual representation to make us understand it a little better. Waxing crescent to waxing quarter. How many days? 7. Waxing gibbous to the full. How many days? 7 more. Add them together. How many? 14 days. When you want to find the feast, what do you have to do? You add that so-called young moon. And what happens, brothers and sisters? You have 15 days to the full moon. When you understand the language, this becomes easy for you. Now let's see what our brothers are doing. They're starting their month from the full moon. The light is already full. So in order for them to start their months, you start from the waning gibbous there. You see that waning means decreasing. The moon is a sign of feast. Your feast day would be on the 15th day because their light is full. But they're saying that your month starts from the full moon, which would be equal to that dark moon there. Now you see the waning gibbous? That would be equal to your young moon or the slither of light or the crescent, you see they're on the same line. So you start your count from there while it's decreasing in the waning gibbous. All right? So now you have the waning quarter to the waning crescent. How many days is that? 7. The old moon to that dark moon, how many days is that? 7. If you want to find the feast days according to these brothers, you add the waning gibbous. How many days do you have? 15 days to the dark moon. Do you see what they are doing? They are leading you into darkness. On the Passover, you were supposed to sacrifice your lamb at even, in the evening, brothers and sisters. Then you were supposed to roast it on fire and eat it before Yahuwah. All of the men had to come to the congregation before Yahuwah, and they could not come empty-handed, and you had a party out there. The Father would light your path at that party. That's why the moon is the sign of feast. It is full. It is bright. It is illuminated. It is like daytime at night, because they didn't have street lights and everything that we have today. Yahuwah supplied the light for them so that they can enjoy the feast. What these brothers are telling you is that if you start from this full moon, you're going to go into darkness. Do you think that's the way that Yahuwah has set it up? Let me show you what else they're saying. Matthew chapter 27, verse 45. Now you can find all of these things on their website. Go to iuic.com. Then you're going to go to the high holy days. Then you go to the new moons. And then you'll see the description of what they're saying. They're saying that this verse that we're getting ready to read proves that the moon was dark, the dark moon at the feast day. Let me say this again, just in case you may be confused. They say that the dark moon is the sign of the feast day, because at this time, in this passage, or this verse, it tells you that the dark moon was the feast day. All right? Let's read it for ourselves. Now from the 6th hour, there was darkness over all the land until the 9th hour. What time is the 6th hour, brothers and sisters? That is the evening, correct? All right. How many hours is it from the 6th hour to the 9th hour? If you said 3 hours, you are correct. So we're saying that there was darkness all over the land for 3 hours. This is when your Mashiach went to the tree, exactly as it is prescribed in your book, in the evening. Now look at this. Lunar eclipses for beginners. Types of lunar eclipses. An eclipse of the moon or lunar eclipse can only occur at full moon, and only if the moon passes through some portion of the Earth's shadow. In contrast, the inner or umbral shadow is a region where the Earth blocks all direct sunlight from reaching the moon. Okay. When did this happen? It tells you exact time frame in the Bible. 6 in the evening to 9 o'clock in the evening. That was the beginning of your first day. You understand? That's the beginning of day 15, Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. When does a lunar eclipse occur? It can only occur at a full moon. Note, the brothers said that this was not a lunar eclipse. They said that this is a solar eclipse. Can you have a solar eclipse in the evening? When the Father created the earth and the laws of the heavens, if you read Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, he tells you that the sun was to rule over the day and the moon was to rule over the night. So you can't have a solar eclipse to line up according to Matthew chapter 27, can you? No, you cannot. Has to be lunar. How long does this lunar eclipse last, Brother David? A lunar eclipse can last up to 3 hours and 40 minutes. That means it's not going to be exactly 3 hours and 40 minutes, but it can last up to that. In a long eclipse like this, totality, when the moon is completely covered by the earth's shadow. Now, check this out, brothers and sisters. How many hours in the evening did it say that the moon was black? It said 3 hours, from 6 to 9. We added that ourselves. So this lines up according to Matthew chapter 27, because a lunar eclipse can last up to 3 hours and 40 minutes. Up to means it doesn't have to be 3 hours and 40. It could be 2 hours and 40. But they're telling you up to 3 hours and 40 minutes. I wonder, how long does a solar eclipse last? NASA says the longest duration of totality will be near Carbondale, Illinois, where the sun will be completely covered for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Some places like Kansas City, Kansas, which is at the edge of totality, will only witness totality for about 20 seconds. It is impossible for a solar eclipse to last for 3 hours. There's no such thing. The Father created these orbs in the sky, and he's placed laws there. No matter what the brothers say and how they try to twist this, if you don't know the laws of the heavens, you're making a fool out of yourself. Look at this. A lunar eclipse occurs at night. You got that? And a solar eclipse during the day. There are only certain times when either of them can occur. A lunar eclipse can only occur when the moon is directly opposite the sun in the sky. Look what it says next. A full moon. Do you understand? So your solar eclipse is out the window. You cannot have the dark moon to be your sign of feast. They said that Matthew chapter 27 proves that it was a dark moon when our Mashiach was crucified. That is against the laws of the heavens, brothers and sisters. Are you seeing that they did not do their research? That they are shooting from the hip? Psalms 81 verse 3. Blow the trumpet at the new moon. Pause. You see the comma there? That means pause. At the full moon. Pause. On our feast day. They use this passage also to try to verify that the full moon is the new moon. Does this passage say that? This passage is telling you about two separate events. You have to blow the trumpet at the new moon. We know what that looked like. We know. Who told us? Enoch told us. Then it tells you at the full moon on our feast day. So you have to blow the trumpet at the new moon, that slither of light. Then you have to blow the trumpet at the full moon on the feast day, when it is perfectly round and beautiful. Two separate events. Every passage that they use, they're using the word of the mighty one, no matter how you try to twist it. You can only twist this if the people who you are speaking to do not do their due diligence and investigate. They got the wrong ones here, don't they? Because we're going to do our investigation. We're not going to keep dropping the ball over and over again, living like the heathen. So the full moon is going to herald in your feast day. That's what this passage just said. And if you know the language of the heavens, brothers and sisters, then you know that to be so. We have to come out of this mentality where we're all doing according to the imaginations of our own mind, because this is 400 years. Do you know that no one is teaching this? Look for it. Look anywhere. You will not find anyone teaching you this like I'm showing you. I am showing you how to fish for yourself. The others don't want you to know how to fish. The Jews don't want you to know that. They'll tell you in a second. And I've asked them. You have to go to the rabbi. Only they can tell you when the date and the time is of the feast days. If you go to them, you're going to find yourself this year going 2 months. You're going to add a 13th month to your Passover. A 13th month. There's not 13 months in the year. There's only 12. And the scriptures verify that. So they're totally out of here. They're trying to match it to the barley harvest over in the promised land. These people are imposters. Let's just follow what the Father said in the book. If you follow the brothers from IUIC or any of the ones who believe that the full moon is the new moon, where will they lead you on the feast day? To darkness. You're going to wind up at that dark moon. How does that work? The moon is your sign of feast. You can't see that black moon. If you were to look up in the sky, you would see nothing. The whole land would be pure darkness, brothers and sisters. Do you think that the Father set up his feast days? 3 feast days that come through the year that starts on the 15th of the month. Do you think he set them up in darkness? He surely did not. We really have to study. There's so many stumbling blocks that are out there. If you don't stay in the book, if you don't check everything, especially me, but it's easy to check me because I supply you with all the information. I don't leave too many loopholes. Why do you think no one challenges me? Because there's no loopholes in what I'm teaching here. They can't bypass the truth. The unification of Scripture is perfect. Everything must line up if it's Yahuwah's way. I've showed you Yahuwah's way. This is his calendar that he has placed in the sky for the whole world to see so that you can be on his time. For the first time since we have come to the knowledge of who we are starting to line up according to the ways of Yahuwah. Now enjoy your feast, brothers and sisters. Remember, no lamb has to be sacrificed because Yahusha, our Passover, he's already been sacrificed for us. Clean out the leaven from your house. Don't eat any leavened bread. You have 2 holy convocations where you cannot work. You have to take off for these 2 days. The first day is going to be in the evening of the 21st. And then your next one is going to be in the evening of, I believe, the 28th. You cannot eat anything leavened, whether in your house or outside. You can work the rest of the week. You just can't work on the first day and the seventh day. Then after you have fulfilled this for the first time, we are lining up according to Yahuwah. You have 15 days you have about 14 days now, or 13 days, to verify all of the information that I've given you, to research for yourself, to make sure that it's true, to check on IUIC, to check on the Jews, to check on me, and then you make your decision. Which one of these is lined up according to the scriptures? Is it the Jews? Is it the Israelite brothers at IUIC? Or is it the Yasharalites, Brother David? Shalom.